And we're live here on Facebook. No, we're not live on Facebook. We're live here on YouTube. I'd like to welcome those in the audience as well as my buddy Rich. Rich, how you doing today?
Doing good, Mike. Just kind of odd to do this on a Thursday. I don't know if we've ever done a Thursday show before,
We
but
did last week
we
or 2
did.
weeks ago.
Oh,
Yeah, we did like 2 weeks ago
wow.
because
I believe I forgot that one. Goodness.
it was right before we went on vacation or something like that.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's
Or
right.
there
Before
was
you went
some,
on a vacation.
yeah. So
Well, yeah, scheduling has us talking tonight and recording tonight
yep.
as you got some work to do around the house again, and you'll be doing some traveling here pretty soon. Again.
Yeah. So looking forward to it. Yeah, we'll have to discuss some things later, and then we'll move on to it. Just the two of us. So Rich, just some updates for you. I did get quite a bit of water in the basement. It looks like
Good.
we got nearly an inch and a half to 2 inches in the main living room. So there's going to be a bunch of furniture that gets thrown out. I have a bunch of electronics getting thrown out. And my daughter's entire bedroom, all of her furniture is going to need to get thrown out. And we already ripped out the carpet, and we're going to have to redo the carpet for her room at some point.
Yeah,
But other than
so
that, I mean, but I will say, in comparison to so many around us, it is very minor damage. We're not like the stuff we're losing isn't vital to life, but it still sucks. It's going to be like $10,000 to $20,000 worth of stuff.
Yeah, are the floodwaters starting to rescend at all?
So this is one of those weird things. So if the floods in the Quad Cities and the ones that are going to happen in the next week or so, and the floods that are the normal floods are a result of lots of rain over a long span of time. This in and of itself was considered a flash flood. It was 3 days of torrential downpours that dumped nearly 20 inches of rain on top of our town. With that much rain, there's nowhere it can go. We were having minor flooding before this. Like, it wasn't that bad. But the massive flooding that you're seeing, I mean, you're seeing it on the news now. They're finally talking about it. We are having huge amounts. Estherville's flood level was higher this year than it's ever been. It's the largest flood we've ever had. The flooding in Spencer is unprecedented. But again, it was a flash flood, so we didn't have time to sandbag right away. That much rain that quickly, you don't have time to do anything. Yes, we had a couple of days of it all of a sudden just exploded out of its banks right away. Last Sunday, we couldn't come home the normal way from church. The bridge on 9 was closed. So we had to go around to a different bridge. It was beyond, like, it was completely different and completely new. It was stuff that there's nothing you can do about it. And it was, like I said, we've never really had water in our basement. And this week we did, and we still have, there's still some spots. We did a bunch of cleanup today, and there's some spots that had some stuff under it that was keeping water in. We got it up. We got it mostly cleaned up. Hopefully, we're waiting on what to do with the next steps with FEMA, and then we have some next steps to do with some other stuff. Hopefully, we'll find out what's the plan is, and then once we know from there, we'll hopefully start dealing with some stuff. And I might get one of them fancy standing desks like you have, and just change up some stuff down here and get so the desk right there. That desk is ruined on the bottom. You can't see it from this image. These two fish tank stands are wood, so those are basically going to be ruined. I have another wood stand over there. The couch down here. All of the furniture in my daughter's room, basically all ruined. So we're just like I said. I have a whole. I have my son has been playing with the speaker cables coming out of my surround sound system. So I brought that down and had it in the basement, just hanging out back here, so he wouldn't mess with it. That got ruined. I had another unit that was a unit for down here that I hadn't hooked up because I had a sound bar, but I was gonna wire it in the garage or something. I hadn't figured it out, but it was down here. I had 2 subwoofers down here, all gone.
Goodness, I'm sorry to hear about all of that. Hopefully funding comes through there between insurance and FEMA. You'll get some relief out of that, so you can start to replace that. And kind of redo the basement.
We have a great church family. They're going to help us out a little bit for at least getting carpet down in my daughter's room in the next day or two. So we're doing that. So that'll help. And then if FEMA comes through and does what we hope they will do, we'll start getting some of the bigger stuff out, and start working that way, so that we can then get the new stuff. Most of the new stuff is going to be metal, which is nice. But like, what do you do at this point? Like, not much we can do. So. But we have our health. I mean, honestly, when you look at it, I have friends who had 4 feet of water in their basement. Like, part of me has thought it would have been nice to have 4 feet of water in the basement. Now, it would have been terrible because I would have had to trudge through it to get to my daughter. Her crib would have had water in it. That would have been tragic. So I'm glad we didn't. But if we did, I would have felt a little less guilty about things because, 1.5 to 2 inches of water feels a little ridiculous. But I also understand that.
But it's a good amount of damage for you, though.
Yeah.
But it's glad to see that you're starting to get everything cleaned up, and hopefully things get back to normal up in your neck of the woods here over the next month. Not much to really report here in the Quad Cities. It seems like the heat wave finally broke.
Oh, good.
As it at least doesn't feel as bad outside and being out in the warehouse. So that's been a relief, I guess.
Yeah. So with that, Rich, we do have a good show. I mean, by the way, still pray for this area. There's still people who like. Do you remember the Terry Cousineau?
Yes.
And Terry and Ken and Terry. Ken's daughter lives in Spencer, and her house got condemned today. They got some stuff out, but the house has been condemned. So, again, I look at it and I'm like, we were lucky. Just the little tiny things. So, okay, let's move on. We got a big show to do. We're done with playoffs?
Yeah, done with the playoffs. As we finally know who won the Stanley Cup, the last postseason trophy to be collected until the World Series. We'll be talking about the NASCAR Corner, as we got to give you what happened at the Magic Mile and then look ahead to Nashville. Mike, what else are we going to be touching on tonight?
The state of affair of baseball right now and where the standings are and how terrible the Cubs are. I guess we got to talk about that. Plus the NBA draft. All that and more. But, Rich, what do we got to do?
Mike, let's go ahead and roll that intro.
Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa. This is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich. And we're back. Okay, Rich, with that, we do have a poll question to talk about. French toast versus hash browns. I don't even think this one was close. We know that occasionally that will happen. It was a lot closer than I thought it would be, but mostly because we only had 8 votes.
All right. I went with French toast. I've always kind of thought of hash browns as more of like a side item. It can be you can kind of make it a little bit more like heavier if you throw in some cheese and make it like a hash browns O'Brien with the peppers and onions in it. But thinking of it as I'm at a diner and they say the only thing we got is French toast and hash browns. You can only have one. I'm going to choose hash browns. I'm going to choose French toast every single time.
Yeah, I agree. I love French toast. So I'm all good. French toast is what I picked. You picked it along with 3 other people. My wife, Danielle Hart, Bob Driscoll, and Pam Hendricks. Also, voting on the hash brown side, we had David Hovinga, Mikey a Roderer, and Nathan Ross. Okay.
All right. Thank you for everybody that voted in our poll this week. This week's poll, which you can find on our Facebook page, Balls and Sticks, or at Fans of Balls and Sticks, will be Rice Chex versus Fruit Loops. Rice Chex and Fruit Loops. So I'll try and get that poll up probably after we get off the air tonight, Mike.
Yeah, okay. So with that, Rich, let's
talk about the playoffs. As when we last talked Saturday afternoon.
Yep.
Yeah. The Stanley Cup was knotted up 3-3 with a Monday night matchup down in Sunrise, Florida. And the Panthers came out victorious in that winner-take-all game number 7.
Yeah.
With the Panthers capturing their first Stanley Cup in franchise history. But something kind of odd happened with that as well, as Connor McDavid was named the Conn Smythe Trophy winner, becoming only the 6th player to win the playoff MVP, but be on the losing team. And he was only the 2nd non-goalie to win that award.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love when things like that happen. It's very infrequent, but man, he's the one that brought that team back from the brink of destruction. Yeah, they failed, but man, it was great.
Yeah, and that is kind of what makes hockey a little bit different, is that it's not just the series MVP, it's the MVP of the entire playoffs.
Yeah, that's true too.
Not just that one series. So he didn't actually go out onto the ice and accept the award. I think he did an interview. I think I remember hearing that he did like an interview like in the tunnel, that, you know, it's great that I won that award, but that's not the one I was hoping to win tonight. But kind of having like a nonchalant feeling about it.
Yeah. So Rich,
we both wanted to see.
We both wanted the Oils to win, but it didn't happen. Man, 93 since the Cup's been in Canada. But more importantly, I saw a video of a guy eating pasta out of the Stanley Cup, which made me think. And then you saw another video. What did you see?
I saw the Panthers team taking it down to the Atlantic Ocean.
Man, that's awesome. But it makes me question, what would you do on your day with the Stanley Cup? And we'll ask this in 2 ways.
Okay.
One, a day around you. We'll ask this in 3 ways. We got some time. A day around you. 2, a day only in your hometown. And 3, wild card.
Okay. Okay. So that first situation is money is no object.
Money's no object.
You don't need to worry about it.
Well, all of them are money is no object. You don't worry about it. But the first one is your dream day with the Stanley Cup.
All right.
So I'm going to start out here.
Go ahead.
The Stanley Cup is going to be the catcher as I throw out the first pitch at a Cubs game. That's going to be how we start the day. It's going to be a day game, of course. So we're gonna do that, and from there we're gonna jump in a helicopter and go to Grand Rapids, Michigan. We're gonna go there and drink some Founders beer after a brewery tour. We're gonna get in a jet from there and get down to the Quad Cities, and of course, we're going to take it for a dip in the Mississippi, sanitize it, and then have a Whitey shake out of the Stanley Cup.
Okay.
There you go. That is my... Doesn't that sound like fun day?
It kind of does. It does.
Okay. You, sir, it's your turn.
All right. I think just as a local, more realistic day with the Cup, I think if...
Okay, this is your
No,
stuck at home.
I know.
You're doing the stuck at... Okay, you're
not
hometown.
leaving the stuck at home
Okay.
hometown one. I do like the getting some Whitey's ice cream and having ice cream out of it. That is an idea. But Mike, one of our favorite restaurants is the High Hole Mongolian Grill. So I think
See
I
where
wouldn't
you're
mind
going
taking I wouldn't mind taking the Cup down to the Mongolian Grill and have them put the cooked stir fry meal inside the Stanley Cup, so I have something to eat out of.
That's awesome. Let's do it. That sounds like that needs to happen. Okay, now I'm gonna go with my hometown one real quick.
Okay.
So I gave you my me-centric day. That's just surrounded by me doing those 3 things. My hometown. So I'm stuck in the Okoboji area. I'm not allowed to leave the greater Okoboji area. We'll say that is the kind of criteria there. Well, we're going to start. I mean, honestly, the only real things that I would do is probably take a dip in the lake. And go to a microbrew, the Westo Okoboji, Westo Brewery, and in West Okoboji, and get some beer there, and then have fun with that.
Okay, and for the money is no object. The only thing that I can think of as we kind of talked through this before pressing that go live button was just taking the Cup somewhere where it's never been, whether it's just taking it somewhere. If it's never been to Australia or New Zealand, take it there.
Yeah.
Or you mentioned going to just an African country and taking it there and being able to share the Cup with other people, share an experience with them.
Yeah. So I'll give that one as well. So money is no object. I'm gonna have a Learjet. We're gonna start in. We'll start in North Carolina. We're gonna go dip it in the Emerald Isles in the Atlantic Ocean. Then we're going to hop on that Learjet and we're going to fly all the way across the country and dip it in the Pacific Ocean. And maybe after that we'll go get a beer. But, that's the kind of crazy, in one day it's going to be in both oceans that touch the U.S. or Canada. So, actually I changed my mind. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just take it to Canada. and be like, "Hey guys, at least it's in Canada for a little bit." That's terrible.
And you didn't have to travel to the Hockey Hall of Fame to see it.
Yeah. So, okay, Rich, you still have your Rich-centric day.
The Rich-centric day. That's my local day and the Rich-centric day are for me almost the
You
kind
wouldn't
of
take
thing.
it. I mean, you'd take it to a Cubs game, wouldn't you?
I think I would. I just don't know, other than to have it be like a shared experience. I don't know what I would do with it there.
Would you get a hot dog in it? Ooh, I got it. Have the peanuts guy throw peanuts into the Stanley Cup.
Okay. Yeah, all right. I do like that.
I don't know.
Or like a
if you're gonna do it at there, you could go get. Would you want to go to Torchy's Tacos?
Yeah, taking it to a Torchy's Tacos would be kind of cool.
Like I
would be doing that.
Like I don't know. It was like something because I figured Torchy's Tacos isn't one of those big things that it would go to regularly.
No, but probably not, as Torchy's is predominantly in Texas, so
Yeah.
it would take the Dallas Stars winning the Cup for it to get there.
Here's a question:
All right.
would you cuddle with it and like look like you're taking a nap with it?
Yeah, I think I could. I would.
I think what I would do is I would do something that most people would find sacrilegious. I would take a nap with it, but I would use it as a footrest as I kick my feet up and on my non-recliner couch. So, okay, with that, we won't talk about hockey until for another couple months when we randomly pick in October or maybe September who we think might win. We won't be right.
No, we won't. All right, Mike. So we'll keep the show rolling. What's coming up next, Mike?
Is it a left turn, Rich?
It is, Mike. And what's after that?
It's another left turn because we're heading into the NASCAR corner, presented by Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated in Moline, Illinois. Check them out for all your sports memorabilia needs in Moline on 5th Avenue or on their eBay store. Once again, that is Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated. Rich, last week we were at New Hampshire for the USA Today 301 at the Magic Mile. Rain caused many problems in this race, but we got the end of the race because of rain tires, which was good. Rich, you picked Christopher Bell. I picked Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott finished in 18th. Fairly respectable after being wrecked a couple times in the race. However, Christopher Bell wins, giving you 2 points for the week, sweeping the week, getting both the Xfinity and the Cup Series. Rich, you are now at 13 to my 10.
Yeah, that was Christopher Bell sweeping the weekend, not me.
Well, yes, correct.
Yeah, so I was a little bit disappointed because I was thinking, so did he get 2 lobsters? But it doesn't look like the winner of the Xfinity race gets a lobster.
That's
only the Cup, the Cup guys.
So overall, Rich, if you did you get to watch any of the race?
Only the end of the race. We had something going on. We had something going on again.
So thankful for some rain.
Didn't get a chance to.
A little bit of rain helped. So did you get to see some of the controversy about the tires at the end?
I did. That they were saying that the tires were wearing, and there was a little bit of debate going on in the broadcast booth about would NASCAR allow them to do another tire change of wet weather tires, and you had some drivers saying that, if I had the choice, I'd put on slicks. It's good enough. It's good enough where there are spots on the racetrack that are dry and you could run slicks on them.
So
on the racetrack.
I think they proved it pretty quickly that wasn't the case while that was being said. But what I will say is that I think right now NASCAR using these wet weather tires, I think it's acceptable that it's a mandatory change or don't change type situation. I hope. Now, part of me hopes that we don't get enough data that it will ever be a non-mandatory thing. But the way that it works, at some point we will have enough data to say, you make the call. Whether you want to put slicks or whether you want to put wet, dry, whether you want to, you have to make the call on that. Whether you want to take a pit stop, whether you don't. None of this, I get that you can't really test this in a way, in a real world situation, except for when it happens. And so because it happens rarely, it makes it so that you don't really have a chance to test it all that much. So truthfully, I doubt we'll ever have a time where it will just be do what you want with it. But yeah. I hope that someday we will.
Did they ever put anything out on air or say anything on air related to if Goodyear brought enough rain tires that there could have been another tire change?
That was the last set of rain tires that they had. Everybody was given 4 sets of rain tires, and that last set that they put on was the last set that anybody had. So if they would have had another tire change, it wouldn't have worked.
Or they would have been putting on scuffs.
I guess. I don't know how you would do scuffs in that, because scuffs don't really work all the way when it comes to fantasy, or when it comes to rain tires. Because generally on scuffs, what you do is you take your old tires, you scrape off the layer, kind of rejuvenates the tire, and then you put it back out. You can't do that with scuffs or with the rain tires because they have actual tread in them. So you can't really do that. So,
Good
Rich,
to know.
This last week in Fantasy NASCAR, you took first place with 201 points for the week. Dupo, the new Dupo, 24, took 171, and I took 144. Rich, our overall standings for what's up?
No, I was going to take the overall standings.
Okay, go ahead.
So in third place is the new Dupo with 30-34. Mike, you're the man in the middle with 31-22, and I am ahead of the leaderboard with 34-77. Going into Nashville for the Ally 400.
Yeah.
All right. So for the Ally 400, I'm gonna have to go with Ross Chastain, my favorite driver, and also a guy that in the 3 Cup races that have been at Nashville, he's finished in the top 5 all 3 times. So I like consistency and good track history when it comes to picking a driver. Can't get much better than a top 5 every single time he's at the track.
Well, Rich, you're taking your favorite driver. I'm going to take my favorite driver. Denny Hamlin has done awesome at this track. Has a win under his belt there.
Okay.
And is, I think he has the ability to. And so I'm going to pick Denny Hamlin for that. Rich, speaking of Denny Hamlin, he races for Joe Gibbs Racing, and this week it was officially announced that Chase Briscoe is moving over to the 19 car. I think that'll be a good spot for him. I think he'll get better equipment, and it'll be a great time.
Yeah, I agree, and I liked what he had to say about moving over the Joe Gibbs too, saying that if I can't win with this team with the amount of resources and with the between resources and the type of equipment that they provide to their drivers, then I probably don't deserve to be in the NASCAR Cup Series. So hopefully it works out for him going from Stuart Haas over to the Gibbs Racing. So that leaves Gregerson and Ryan Pierce as two drivers that don't have a ride for next year with Stuart Haas just going down to one car. So somebody's going to be the odd man out.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, Josh Berry hasn't announced where Josh Berry is going to go either. So only one guy is going to be there, and it wouldn't surprise me if Cole Custer maybe gets the Cup Series ride, since I think his dad is the. I think they said that Custer's dad is the chief of like Haas Racing. So
yeah, and he might get to go back to Stuart Haas or to Haas Racing in and of itself. As I look at it, it sounds like what's going to happen is that most of the team is going to be just moved over to Haas Racing, and Haas is going to buy Tony Stewart out of most of it. But I'm not sure.
Yeah, all we know is that at least three of the four charters are for sale.
Yep.
One of which has already been bought. I think they said it's Front Row Motorsports. I think bought one of the charters, and Haas is keeping one of the four, so that leaves two more. Two more to be sold off or bought, and I think I've heard that 23XI might be looking at another charter, and Trackhouse might be trying to get another charter to go up to. So both of those, so one of those teams could go up to being three cars, three full-time rides.
Yeah, and I think that'll be good. One of the things that happens when you get those extra cars, like, yes, there's extra expenses, but what it really does is it moves you up and gets you better opportunities for sponsorships and stuff like that. So it'll be great. I'm looking forward to it. So, okay, Rich, with that, do you want to take us out?
Sure. So that was the NASCAR Corner presented by Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated, Moline, Illinois, and you can also find them on eBay. Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated. So, Mike, we'll keep on making left-hand turns, but we're going to go to the baseball diamond as we sadly got to talk about the Chicago Cubs. From show to show, they had one. Yeah, that's kind of what we do.
I mean, yeah, I suppose.
All right. So from show to show, we had one game with the Mets and 4 games in San Francisco. Mike, we got one win out of those 5 games. Some close games in San Francisco where we came out on the wrong end, on the short end of the stick, and couldn't hold a lead. But at least we avoided a sweep. At least we avoided the sweep today with an extra innings win.
Yeah. Man, that was rough.
It really has been a rough week, and it doesn't get much better. Javier Assad was just put on the DL today, on the IL. Sorry, the IL today. So we're down another arm. But I think overall, I mean, the starting pitching still does well. It's just that the bullpen just cannot hold leads, but at the same time, we're not putting up enough runs that even if they allow 1 or 2 runs, we're just not able to answer back or get them those insurance runs.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been rough. We blew a 3-0 lead today. Let's not forget that we legitimately blew a 3-0 lead. Our bullpen blew a 4-2 lead going into the 9th yesterday. Let me look. So going into the 6th, we had a 3-0 lead.
Yep.
We gave up 3
Today.
runs in 1 inning today. Yesterday, we had a 4-2 lead going into the bottom of the 9th. And we blow a save like that?
But the good news,
what
Mike,
do you do?
is it? Yeah, I know. But at least, if anything, we're almost out of the month of June. The Cubs traditionally always have like that June swoon where they seem to hit a rough patch, and
But
technically, Mike, today is the first day of the second half of the season if you just divide the 162 games by 2. So we're undefeated in the second half.
okay, that's fine. Good. But here's the problem I got. We had almost a record-setting May. Our start of the year we were on fire. We haven't done jack since.
No. You're totally correct. It has been a total 180 with how well the team was doing in May, and then seeing how poorly they've done in the month of June. I don't know with where they're at in the standings, which we'll get to here in a couple minutes. Fortunately, the rest of the National League is doing terrible, as only I think three or four teams have winning records. But it's still going to be a hard thing to determine. Is what do you do at the trade deadline? Do you add? Do you stand pat? Do you try and sell off? Or do you try and trade some of the fringe guys that might not be long-term fixes with this team?
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't know who from the major league roster would be marketable on the trade market.
Seiya Suzuki?
Trying to think, how many more years does he have, though? His contract would make it hard to trade him, as it'd be hard to trade Ian Happ with his contract. The only thing you got going for you is maybe if the trade deadline gets closer and there is no hope of getting out of it, maybe Cody Bellinger is the guy that gets traded. But at the same time, he's on a 3-year deal, except he has the option to decline his options.
This is a first year of the deal with the Cubs. So, how long was the contract? It's a 4-year deal. 4 years.
Suzuki?
Yeah.
So he's on year 2?
Oh, I'm sorry, not Suzuki. I'm talking Ingman. Imanaga. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Imanaga is on a first-year deal of a 4-year deal. He'd be marketable, kind of. Seiya Suzuki is on a 2-year deal, I want to say, or he's on his second year of his. Let me. Sorry, I was looking through the roster and trying to come up with who I think would be tradable.
Because obviously nobody out of that bullpen. You'd have to pay somebody to take some arms off of our hands from that bullpen. And the starting rotation right now, it seems like I don't think you'd want to.
So
I don't think you'd want to trade away Steele or Imanaga, and everybody else is kind of hurt.
So Seiya is on his 3rd year of a 5-year deal. Might be worth a team to look at. Might. if the terms are good enough, you might be able to grab him and pick him up. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, the other option the team has is whether they believe that they're within striking distance of making the playoffs, whether by winning the division or getting in as a wild card. Do you get a guy like a Pete Alonso or a Vlad Guerrero Jr. and hope that, let's get him in house, see how he does in Wrigley Field, and hope that we can re-sign him to a long-term deal in the off season, or we at least get a compensatory pick out of the deal.
Yeah.
But it's going to take giving up some prospects to get a bat like that, like Guerrero Jr. or Pete Alonso.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I don't know that anybody really wants him right now. Bad enough. Yeah, I'm not sure where the plan there would be best.
So we still got a lot of time, as it's just about, as I said before, it's the first day of the second half of the season. If you're just splitting the 162 games into two, so still plenty of time. And before we look at the standings, Mike, this week from the 29th through the 5th, assuming that we're probably going to record on a Saturday or Friday night. We got 3 with the Brewers in Milwaukee, since we took out we're going to include Friday's game. 3 with the Phillies in Chicago. And then we welcome the Angels into town for a Friday afternoon game on the 3rd of July. With the 3rd. Now that'd be that's the 5th. Sorry. Getting my days mixed up. How many wins, Mike?
1.
1. I was really tempted to put 1, because the Phillies and Brewers are 2 of the best teams in the National League right now. But I'm going to give them 2. It's a rivalry game with the Brewers, and I think they can get that win with the Angels. I don't know what's going to happen with Philly.
I don't think they win one against the Brewers or the Phillies. I hope they might be able to pull one game off with the Angels. I don't buy that they will. That is me giving it a stab in the dark. Don't know what's going to happen. So, with that, Rich, we got to do some standings.
Yes, we do. So, Mike, I've got our standings predictions up.
Where do you want to start?
Do you have? We'll start with the American League East, Mike.
Okay.
You said the Blue Jays would take the division. I went with the Orioles, who is currently leading the division.
The Orioles.
The Orioles. All right.
And the Blue Jays are sub 500 in the basement.
Are they last in their division?
Yeah, they're in the basement, like I said.
It's okay. I gave the Blue Jays one of the wild card spots, so you're not the only one that picked the Blue Jays. In the American League Central, Mike, I went with the Twins. You went with the Royals.
Twins are second. Royals are third. They're basically tied right now. The Royals are 1 game behind the Twins. The Guardians have the lead.
Ooh, all right. In the American League West, we both went with the defending World Series champion, Texas Rangers.
Texas Rangers are in third, sub 500. Mariners have the lead, and the team I will not say is in second. All
right. So the 3 wild card teams that you put into the playoffs were the Orioles, who you've already mentioned are leading the American League East.
Yep.
The Tampa Bay Rays, and the Seattle Mariners. You've already said the Mariners are leading their division in the West. So where
Yep.
are the Rays in the standings,
The
Mike?
Rays are second to last in the East. They are 4-9-4 for a um uh for the
All right. So with the American League, Mike, the if the season ended today, number one overall seed would go to the Guardians,
Yep.
with the Guardians, the O's getting the number two seed, Seattle getting the number three, and our three wild card teams, Mike, would be the Yankees, the Twins, and the
And the
Kansas
Royals.
City Royals.
Yep. Sorry, I got that.
The
one.
Blue Jays are currently 6.5 games out from making the playoffs just as a wild card, and the Texas Rangers are 7 games out.
Okay.
All right. Going over to the National League, Mike. The National League East, we both went with the Atlanta Braves.
Okay, in the National League East, the Phillies are in first. The Braves are in second.
All right. The National League Central, Mike, we must have been drinking the Kool-Aid over the offseason because we both said the Cubs would take this division.
Yep. They're in the basement. Brewers in first. And in the West?
All right. The West, we both said the LA Dodgers.
And they are in first place with a 622 per winning
All
percentage.
right. For the wild cards, Mike, you went with the Cincinnati Reds, the New York Mets, and the Philadelphia Phillies,
Okay.
while I went with the Diamondbacks, the Phillies, and the Reds.
Well, right now the Phillies would be number one in the East. The Diamondbacks are 25 or 2.5 games out of the wild card. Who else did you have in the wild card?
We both put the Reds as they're 3.5 games out of a playoff position.
Yep.
Being 10 games under 500.
By the way, the Cubs are only 4 games out of a wild card game.
Yeah, just getting that wild card game. And the Mets, yeah, the New York Mets.
The Mets
Are
are
a game
game
out.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, so your playoff seeding on the National League side of the bracket would be the Phillies getting the number one seed, the Dodgers at 2, the Brewers getting the third seed, and your 3 wild card teams are the Atlanta Braves, the San Diego Padres, and sadly the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yep. Okay. With that, Rich, what else?
One more thing to look into.
Oh, yeah.
Before we go into quick hits and shout-outs. Mike, you said that your World Series pick would be the Dodgers over the Blue Jays. How do you feel about that? Or
Yeah, that I don't think that's going to happen.
no, I went with the Braves over the Orioles. I'd feel a little bit more confident with that pick if Ronald Acuna Jr. wasn't out for the season.
Yep.
And their ace Spencer Strader wasn't out for the season too. But I feel pretty confident about the O's though.
Yeah.
They're
The
looking
Orioles
good.
looking good. I think the Dodgers are looking good. I feel good with the Dodgers, not so much with the Jays. So, with that, Rich, let's go into the quick hits. Anybody surprised that the LA Lakers picked up Bronny James?
You know what, Mike? I was really wanting one of two things to happen out of all this situation.
Yep.
Was that they used their first round pick on him because they were getting pressure from LeBron to say, you know what, I don't just want to play with him. I want him to be a first round draft pick.
Yeah.
So you're going to use the 7th round. You're going to use the 7th. I think they picked at 7. We're going to draft him at 7 or 11, wherever they drafted at. He's going to be your first round draft pick. Or 2, it would have been fun to see a team at the back half of the first round take him and then just put him up for auction to the Lakers. And I think I heard like somebody when I was driving into work today, somebody was saying the Boston Celtics should draft him and then send like a ransom note to him, to the Lakers. We have Bronny. Make us an offer of how we're gonna compensate. What are we gonna get in compensation to make LeBron's dream come true, getting to play with his son?
Yeah, I think that'd be funny. I think the better one would have because I think it would have been even funnier if it was the Clippers.
Mm.
Personally, but
But
we'll
yeah,
see.
I mean the other thing that I found out that I think they made a point of, I think it was Mike Greenberg was talking about it, is that if he wasn't basically LeBron James Jr., a 6'2", 6'1" guard that was averaging 5 points a game in college would not be in the conversation to
Never.
being signed. Yeah, to being signed as an undrafted free agent, let alone a second round draft pick.
I'd have a better chance at getting drafted.
Yeah, if he was Bronny Hart, he wouldn't be in the conversation
No.
to being on an NBA roster. But because he's Bronny James,
Yeah.
he's got to be he's in the conversation.
'Kay.
So,
And yeah, I don't know. But technically, LeBron James hasn't signed with the Lakers for a new year.
he hasn't. He still has to make a decision on his contract. And the thing that I started thinking about all this, and I've even seen people make it in the comment section of talking about his contract, is that if he's ring chasing at this point in his career, or wanting to prove that, yeah, I can still win a championship and play at a high level at my age, with the amount that he's made over the entire year of his career, why is he chasing and wanting to constantly renegotiate his contract and being paid like over $20-30 million a year, but complain about the players that are put around him? Why doesn't he just take a veteran's minimum or take like a mid-level salary so that you can put a star around him?
And
to get a third star around him and augment the roster.
Why are you insisting that they pick up your son? Like, I'm sorry. If you're insisting that they pick up your son, that's not a good
roster building tool.
That doesn't help your team at all. Him insisting that they draft his son says, I don't care if I win another championship. That's what it says.
I want to play with my son.
And he's going to retire next year. By the way,
I don't know if he'll retire next year, but it's getting close. Not a good long-term move for the Lakers to draft a player that's probably not going to be on the team once LeBron finally hangs it up and leaves.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, because the other thing that they were talking about with James was that they were limiting what teams could visit him personally and talk with him, watch his workouts. They were already saying he's signing a fully guaranteed NBA contract. We're not going to accept a two-way deal to where he could be sent down to the G League.
Right.
And that's what he needs. He needs to play more. He shouldn't have declared for the draft.
No.
He needs more time in college.
Well, he went into the draft so that he could play with his dad.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with anything else. So, I actually feel bad for LeBron, as LeBron is like legitimately like hamstrung the entire team for the Lakers. Bronny,
it's been that way. It's been that way. It's been that way since he put on the purple and gold, though.
But I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Bronny has all these expectations on him. Bronny is being drafted and given all these demands just to keep. one of the greatest of all times still in the game. LeBron is one of the greatest players of all time. Probably top 2. He's definitely top 3. Definitely top 3. Probably top 2. I don't know that I can put Kobe above him. And the problem is that the more LeBron plays in this shape and insists on things like, hey, I'm making sure my son comes to play with me, the more he no longer the more he hurts his reputation. Like, what are you gonna do? Kobe went out not quite on top, but he went out in a good way. Michael actually failed at that. We all forget about that. That's one of the things. The him playing as a wizard, that was terrible. So
I think what he was able to do at his age, but the fact that him at a limited capability of really showing his age and playing on a losing team kind of did tarnish his legacy. And right now, I think that's almost what LeBron James is heading towards. If it's losing in the first round, or losing in the play-in tournament, just to keep playing to pad his stats and cement his place atop the record books. I mean, I think it almost would have been more, other than staying in school, which I think he should have advised his son to do, so he can develop and get more money on his own as an NBA player to improve his draft position.
Get his
education. Yeah, or get an education.
Like, I love the guy.
I think you could have had a better publicity stunt or better publicity for the family if you would have had the two playing against each other.
Yep.
To where at the end of the game you have the jersey swap, like the little jersey swap photo op at the end of the game.
Yeah, no, I that would have been great. The fact that, but here's the problem though. If he's drafted by the Clippers, if he's drafted by anywhere else, do you believe that he's going to be on the starting? He's going to play a game in the NBA before LeBron leaves?
Probably only when LeBron's Lakers are in town is he going to be playing significant minutes.
No, I don't even think. No. He's going to be he would be in the G League at best for the next 5 years.
But with the G League or a two-way contract, you could bring him up to the active roster when LeBron comes to town, so that he's on the active roster and maybe gets to play a couple of token minutes, so they can be on the floor at the same time together.
Sure.
Playing against each other, but with the difference in height, a 6'9", 6'10" LeBron James isn't going to be guarded by his son, who is 6'2".
Yeah. It's a bad look for the LeBron James for the family. It's not going to work well, and I'm scared that this is going to completely destroy his reputation.
Yeah, it would have been I think it would have been better if he could have forged his own path.
Yeah.
So he isn't necessarily in the shadow of getting with his name alone, that's why he's a draft prospect. But now you're gonna, anytime that he gets minutes or does poorly but keeps on getting minutes, it's going to be, well, you're only getting minutes because your dad's a de facto coach or assistant coach on the team that's making sure that you get your playing time.
Yeah, it's a bad look. It's a bad thing. I want way better for LeBron. I want way better for LA. I want way better for Bronny. But they made their decisions now. We get to watch how terrible it turns out.
Yeah, but you know what? They still could have played together if he was on a two-way contract and played. Because you know what? I think, like LeBron James gets injured, he gets nicked up. He could have gone down and played he could have gone down and fulfilled that dream of getting to play with his son. Go down and play for a G League. Go down and play a couple of G League games to rehab your injury or rehab an injury and play with your son in the G League. And for a couple of games before going back to the active roster with the Lakers.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be something to watch. Does he stay on the active roster for the entire season? Will he be a part of the rotation, or will there be a lot of coach's decision? Did not play coach's decision, and he's riding the bench.
I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't have a good idea on what this is gonna look like. But Rich, we've put in the hour. It's time to move on.
Yep.
LeBron's got his time. I think they've gotten more than they deserved this week. Rich, I know you have a shout out. 4th of July.
That's for next week's show, Mike.
We will be after the 4th of July. You're not gonna do it? Ain't gonna do it?
Nah, not gonna do it. If you want to take it, go for it. I don't know.
That's your mom.
Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. Just in case, I guess it's a double. I always forget these things. I don't know.
You forgot that your mom's birthday is 4th of July?
No, I didn't forget. It's just... You have a shout-out. I was like, well, I do? But yeah. Birthdays, yeah. My mother-in-law, Karen, July 1st. We'll get to do... sure we'll be doing something with that side of the family. And also my mom on July 1st, like you said, Mike.
4th, I thought.
4th, yeah, the 4th. The 1st for Karen, 4th for my mom.
Yeah. See, I remember these things. It's not even my mom.
No.
I love your mom. Your mom's awesome, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I got to start putting things in the outline for my shout-out. So
yeah, I know. I remembered at least this time, so you're good. By the way, I want to give a shout out to bus drivers, the community. I work at Okoboji Schools. We are 15 minutes from Spencer, and we legitimately got to see hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of water and food and clothing and bedding and diapers and you name it. It was brought through the doors. I spent hours last Saturday preparing to be a shelter. We turned out not to be a shelter, and they moved the shelter. They had the shelters at other places. We loaded up. Tons. We loaded up 5 buses. Sent more down. I think they totaled out at 10 buses and a whole a bunch of trailers, stuff like that. It was amazing to see the outpouring of. We're a small community. We are a tiny, not tiny, but we are a small community, and the outpouring and the love that was shown and the amount that we were able to get down there and get stuff done. Not asking, oh, well, is your doctrine the correct doctrine or this or that? No, it just love and taking care of things and getting things done, and it was amazing to see. So I just want to shout out the entire Okoboji community and what they were able to do this week. So with that, Rich, let's roll that outro. Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa, this is Balls and Sticks, the podcast with your hosts, Mike and Rich.